This was the second leg of the race. It started in Bergen in Norway.
Yes, Bergen, that's it. Norway, that's right.
I joined it the day before the start of the race, which was the 11th of August.
It was a bit strange being in Bergen because I was only there for a day, and straight away get sorted, get packed in the bunk, and then sort of wake up and be ready to sail.
I'm Ed Harrison. I live in Lavenham, which is in Suffolk, quite near to Colchester. I've done lots of dinghy sailing. My parents both sail quite a lot, and I started sailing when I was 5, but I only recently started sailing on yachts.
I'm Kim Llewellyn Powell, a name I couldn't spell until I was the age of 11. I'm from Essex, with an O to be specific, near Colchester. Well, I've done voyages before on Trinovante. It's the only place I've really done my sailing, and it's usually been overnight passages or sort of shorter things. I never sailed abroad before this trip.
Well, we had the parade of sail in the morning. We all sort of hopped on the boat and took it out early in the morning, and we popped on our sails up, sailed around in the big line so that people on the quay could have a look at us.
We started off with the cruising company, so we were meant to be sailing in formation with the other ships.
Well, the start line was 40 miles out at sea to give the big square rig ships, like the Statsraad Lemkool, a lot of room to manoeuvre around. So we left the parade of sail, headed down to the start line, and then we drifted around in no wind for 2 hours.
Because I suppose you've got sort of around 60 boats or something which are all bobbing out there on the water, and you're completely encircled by these various different ships, and you've got big tall ships and the tiny little boats, and all the different classes of boat, you wouldn't usually see that many ships in the same place together. It's quite a unique sort of thing.
At the beginning it was really rather calm and relaxed. As the night went on it picked up, it got a lot more windy after a day or so.
Started getting this sort of adrenaline buzz.
There's lots of wind, lots of waves, and it can get pretty nasty on the North Sea.
Through the race we started to our surprise, we started to take other boats. It would seem that we do better with wind conditions than they do.
Our boat performs really quite well in strong winds. Because of our rig design, we can carry all the sails that we are able to until there's an awful lot of wind, and after lots of other boats having to take almost all of theirs down. We also broke the boat's speed record. We got her up to 11.6 knots, which is really, really impressive. This is how we actually ended up winning for 36 hours in the end, which was really pretty unexpected, I have to say.
As the position sort of got better and better and better, the expression on our faces sort of got more and more shocked. I think the reaction of the other boats was probably the same. They were probably thinking, who the hell are these people?
The overall course was described as just Bergen in Norway to Den Helder in Holland, which is about 450 miles. What they didn't mention was that actually it was from Norway to Holland via Aberdeen. So actually, over the course of the entire race, we sailed 850 miles, which is quite a lot further.
It was comfortable sailing. I suppose we must have taken about 3 days of shift work to get us there.
We had quite a lot of wind, which miraculously just all disappeared the moment we arrived at Aberdeen. It was quite cold most of the time. There wasn't too much rain, luckily, after the start.
Up to the Aberdeen waypoint, I think we were 5th overall and 1st in class, which was a massive shock to us. Maybe a competitive streak in me I didn't realise I had sort of came out. Yeah.
We've been told in no uncertain terms that our handicap wasn't good enough to let us be near the front, especially since we didn't actually have all the sails on board that we could carry. As it turned out, all the armchair experts were completely wrong, because we were storming to a miraculous first place for a whole 36 hours, which was pretty damn good, to be honest. Well, once we went round the Waymark at Aberdeen, there was absolutely no wind at all. We got around the mark to flat calm. We had quite a few around us at that point, quite a few other boats around us, and we actually really did start to pull ahead of them, really.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. I think it was just good helmsmanship and sort of a steady course, and at that point it was just the boat outperforming the others.
We're quite a heavy boat, but also quite narrow, which is probably the ideal combination for sailing in no wind, because it means that we don't roll around too much, we don't shake all the wind out the sails, what little there is.
Four hours on, 4 hours off, and then 5 hours on and 5 hours off. It gives you something to look forward to. There's 1 5 hour bit where you get off, where you've got sort of an hour to play with. So you think, well, I could read my book or have a wash or you know, do something like that.
This is where everything started to go wrong, really. The wind went round to a southeasterly direction, which from where we are is basically where Den Helder is, so we would have to sail straight into the wind. It also started to pick up quite a lot. To start with, we had perhaps 20 knots, which is a nice comfortable sailing sort of wind. Then after that it got up quite a lot more. So in the end it was quite rough, it was quite windy, and we couldn't sail towards Den Helder. We had to zigzag and what it's called beating into the wind, zigzagging backwards and forwards trying to get there.
We tried to head down south instead of heading off to the east. I had this idea that we'd catch the wind if we went down.
We went from first in class right down to sixth just after doing one tack, which is at the corner of a zigzag when you're turning the boat through the wind. If it's that much wind, you only really want to sleep once you get off watch. It's really, really tiring, so you just want to go down below, drop into your bed and go to sleep and hope that nobody wakes you up in 4 hours. The period of high wind and southeasterly wind was not the best point of the race for us, really. When the wind blew in, we were blown all the way back across the North Sea and all the way down to about 1 degree west, so we lost 120 miles and we ended up off the coast of Newcastle.
There's this sort of massive lull in wind which everyone suffered. We ended up sort of trapped in this position where we had to keep moving down south and sort of further and further away. I think there was a point where we were about to retire and we were considering going into Hartlepool, and everyone was talking about sausages and newspapers and showers and sort of, you know, fantasising about all these things you find that you miss
when we discovered that we couldn't actually head towards Den Helder no matter what we did, unfortunately we were eventually forced to retire. There was particularly severe weather warnings coming in, forecasting gales, which is something you don't want to be out in a yacht if you can help it. So unfortunately at that point we had to stick the engine on and motor, which means retiring the race.
It's a mixture of feelings at that point. You're still too exhausted to deal with it emotionally, you quite realise what you've done.
The waves were massively bigger than they had been beforehand, and this time we were sailing and motoring straight into them, so we were banging up and down a lot. Also, because we were banging up and down a lot on the waves, we couldn't go very fast, so we have a little thing that tells us our ETA, and it started off at about sort of 36 hours, and it was gradually going up, which is pretty depressing, to be honest.
It was night time. We came in about 6 o'clock, and I think everyone was really tired, and everyone stayed up and got on deck because we were about to do the docking procedure. And there's about 2 hours when we were coming through the navigation buoys into Den Helder, and you could slowly sort of see the lights of the city getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and all of a sudden there's this amazing smell of land. 2 hours sleep before we had to wake up and then go and get ourselves into the lock system. All these international people with all these sort of differences and different beliefs and different ways of doing things and stuff, but they've all come together under this sort of commonality, which is the sailing, and it's meant that you could bond with everyone who is here and have some sort of degree of conversation with them just based on that. And that was, I don't know if lubricant's the right word, but it sort of lubricated the social affairs.
The most prestigious trophy is for international friendship, not for winning the race, which is quite an interesting one. But it really shows you what the spirit of the race is really actually meant to be about. Obviously, the parties, meeting other people, having a good time, rather than out there hard graft trying to win.
Just realised the scale of it, and I was sort of like, whoa. Part of something really bigger here, something a lot bigger than yourself and a lot bigger than, well, probably anything in my life actually.
So many different people. There's sailors from Russia, Brazil, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, all over the world.
Oh yeah, definitely, I'll definitely do it again. I can't wait really.
I've already been asking questions about which boat I can go on next year.
I think we got here on, I'm not sure to be honest. I mean, I think we got here on the, I can't remember now. Was it the Friday or something, or the Saturday, or the Thursday? Note to the viewer, the director doesn't remember either, so it's not just me.